I'm Christopher Lee. Join me on a cinematic time trip through a century of science fiction. Horror, fantasy, and science fiction are often lumped together, particularly on the shelves of video stores. There are, however, certain basic differences. A fantasy film uses a supernatural, unreal element, be it a scientific impossibility or a mythological concept. Horror stories, although personally I prefer the word terror, involve suspense, shock, and a delightful shudder.
To the future, monsieur.
Science fiction, at least in its purest form, takes a known scientific invention or concept and elaborates upon it. In the last century, we have seen nearly uncountable changes in science and technology. Man has taken to the air and reached beyond this planet, harnessed the power of the wind and the rivers, and tapped the source of energy that created the universe itself. Created machines that operate and even think independently of their creators. Communication has become instantaneous. Modern technology has changed deserts into air-conditioned playgrounds and transformed nations into soul-crushing juggernauts. But human nature remains constant. Hate and fear, love and desire, self-expression and self-doubt, greed and sacrifice. These basic components of the human spirit never change. Writers and filmmakers may elaborate upon technological fact, but what keeps these stories interesting, if people are doing their job properly, is the human factor.
What do you want? What are you doing? Let me see you as you really are.
Les histoires d'aliens et d'ovnis exploitent les mêmes terreurs ancestrales que les films d'horreur classiques. La grande différence, c'est que les gens croient que, contrairement aux loups-garous ou aux dragons, les extraterrestres existent vraiment. Le pilote américain Kenneth Arnold a inventé l'expression soucoupe volante en 1947 après avoir aperçu des taches lumineuses dans le ciel. Depuis, des photographes amateurs ont pris des dizaines de clichés de ce qu'ils qualifient d'authentiques ovnis, certains étant même censés représenter des extraterrestres. Heureusement, les aliens et les soucoupes volantes sont beaucoup plus nets au cinéma.
There is nothing more important to me right now than to maintain a position as pompous and religiously arrogant that we are the only existing forms of life in the entire universe, a universe so vast that we haven't even scratched the surface of what's out there. I would have to believe that there could be. If they are coming or have been here, I hope they're not anything like the aliens depicted in this movie.
Searching for ETs in this political environment is a tough sell.
I come to you with the possibility of extrasolar life. I can't for it.
Right now, as much as you think you know, you don't know the half of it.
The overwhelming visuals of Independence Day helped make it one of the largest grossing films of all time. Clearly, audiences love watching the end of the world from the safety of a movie theater.
The question of whether or not we are alone in the universe has been answered.
This is so cool.
More ships have just arrived over India, England, and Germany.
I really don't think they flew 90 billion light years to come down here and start a fight.
We've got to stop them! They're going to kill us all!
They're using their own satellites against us. The clock is ticking.
We're looking at worldwide destruction in the next 36 hours.
I know that we've sent a message out there, and I believe there's a strong possibility that there'll be an answer one day.
La réputation des Japonais atteint des sommets quand il s'agit des effets spéciaux. Bien avant Independence Day, les studios Toho détruisaient déjà régulièrement les plus grandes villes du monde.
Love-hungry spacemen come to seize our women that their dying race may live.
A beautiful, innocent girl on her honeymoon. Her passionate dreams of perfect romance turned into a living nightmare.
Bill?
There was motion in the soft sound of engines, and I seemed to be floating. It was a ball of light all around me. I felt it pass through me. And I found myself wandering down a street near my home. It was the next day. Nobody believed me. And I realized I was going to have a baby and nothing could stop it.
Miles, where do they come from?
I don't know.
L'adaptation du roman de Jack Finlay par Don Siegel posait la grande question. Et si l'on ne pouvait pas distinguer les envahisseurs des humains?
This isn't just an ordinary body, is it?
I never saw one like it. It looks unusual.
L'invasion des profanateurs de sépultures était une métaphore frappante de la paranoïa qui régnait pendant la guerre froide.
Will you tell these fools I'm not crazy? Make them listen to me before it's too late! Stop and listen to me! Listen! Listen! Listen to me! They're not human! Can't you see? They're here already! You're next!
Le météore de la nuit a lancé le stéréotype de l'envahisseur arrivé sur Terre par hasard et sans intention hostile.
I wrote the screenplay without knowing it. They hired me to do a treatment and an outline, and I did a huge 90-page treatment, which was a screenplay. And I was very foolish. And then they fired me and brought in another writer who did the screenplay. But he said to me later, "You're really dumb. I retyped your script."
I tell you, from its size and its appearance, this thing came from outer space. I even have reason to believe that there's some form of life in it.
Nobody can locate anything, anybody. The Martians, we've got to start the...
Les productions à petit budget reposaient sur une angoisse planétaire, l'ennemi n'étant plus les soviétiques, mais des forces défiant l'entendement. Toute l'imagerie des sondes extraterrestres greffées à de malheureux humains sans défense est allée enrichir la mythologie ufologique mondiale. Tirés d'une série télévisée de la BBC, les films présentant les aventures du professeur Quatermass étaient sans doute les plus élaborés et les plus terrifiants de l'époque.
There's a whole new world out there, a wilderness, uncharted. And he's been there and come back. He's got the map.
Unlock his mind for me, Briscoe, and find it. I know you can do it.
It isn't just a question
I know the
of...
strain and tension you've been under, but to stop now when we're so close.
You've destroyed him like you've destroyed everything else you've touched.
There's no room for personal feelings in science, Judith.
An experiment that created the creeping unknown.
I want to cordon around the entire area, evacuate all public, get information to check up every movement that's likely to take place inside this radius tonight. Yes, sir.
Warn everyone not to touch anything unusual they may find in the streets.
What you do at the beginning of a picture is you usually talk to your lighting cameraman and say, look, this is the sort of mood we want to keep or do or help. And if something is overcast, as it usually is in England, you can either put the fillers in and make it look like sunshine or leave it.
L'écrivain Nigel Kneale a conjugué avec beaucoup de finesse les craintes anciennes et modernes.
Vincent Broadhead is dead. Dead? I watched him die a few hours ago in that plant. His whole body covered with some kind of corrosive poisoning, eaten away. We're holding this block. We've got to, at least until the oxygen takes effect.
What's in those zones, mister?
Yes, what is it? Tell us. Inside those domes are creatures from outside this earth.
Are you mad?
I've seen them. Thousands of tiny creatures that can join together and expand into things 100 feet high. And each one can infect a human being.
The airship XY-21 was a single-stage, astro-propelled rocket. The rocket had landed on the planet Venus.
Venus?
The planet Venus?
Some of you may also have heard the story of a monster now confined here in Rome Zoo. That beast is from Venus.
Half of those electric cables. Misericordia!
Ray Harryhausen a conçu les trucages de ce film réalisé en pleine guerre froide.
They're pulling us up.
Le mutant des survivants de l'infini se dressait du haut de ses 2,70 m. Mais même lui a dû faire un bout d'essai.
Run, Ruth, run!
En 1953, le producteur George Pal transpose l'histoire en Californie, toujours avec la même force et la même portée que le roman original de H.G. Wells.
They slash across country like scythes, wiping out everything that's trying to get away from them.
That explains why communication is cut the moment their machines begin moving.
Montreal's blacked out. Nothing more's come through.
Same thing that happened on the Pacific coast. Anything from them yet? No, Mr. Secretary. We've had nothing from San Francisco for over 5 hours.
Looks like they're going to come out of that gully pretty soon. We'll have to rush our defenses to be ready when they do.
The guard can need plenty of reinforcements.
We'll get them. Lieutenant!
Look!
The nations of the world mobilize their armed might, rushing to defend the Earth against the unknown weapons of the super race from the Red Planet. Is there nothing that can stop the Martian death machines?
Guns, tanks, bombs. They're like toys against them.
We know now that we can't beat their machines. Got to beat them.
L'auteur Jérôme Bixby transpose l'intrigue de The Thing dans une fusée qui revient de Mars avec à son bord un alien assoiffé de sang. 20 ans plus tard, Dan O'Banion reprendra la même idée dans Alien. En 1996, un astronome amateur découvre une planète décrivant une orbite autour d'une étoile à seulement 8 années-lumière de la Terre, bien plus près que tout autre système solaire connu et à portée de navette spatiale. Dans notre propre système solaire, on sait qu'au moins l'une des 9 planètes abrite une forme de vie intelligente.
Logic and mathematics tell us that there are untold star systems with billions of planets that could support life. However, we will not know for sure until we go out there, or they come here.
Can't rule out invasion from space. All right. All orders top secret.
It's our busy night, too. We've been flooded with calls from people who say they've seen flying saucers and little green monsters. Wonder how that rumor ever got started.
Just think of it. Only this special unit and the President of the United States will know what happened here tonight.
You mean you think we know what's happened?
Why is it that we usually ignore the fourth dimension? You see, we can move in the other three. As the doctor said, up, down, forwards, backwards, sideways. But when it comes to time, we are prisoners.
The past, the present, and the future are linked by the mysterious continuous ribbon of existence that we call time. The first serious exploration of the theme was made in 1956.
Toward Mars, this rocket ship headed 35 million miles away through space. And then suddenly, radio contact was broken, and the world believed it to be forever lost. But strangely and unaccountably, these space travelers had crashed the time barrier into the inconceivable world of the year 2508.
Les descendants de H.G. Wells ont porté plainte pour contrefaçon.
This was an awesome world, ravaged by atomic radiation, inhabited by mutated monsters, lusting to kill. Look out!
La star masculine du film, Rod Taylor, jouera par la suite dans la charmante version du roman de H.G. Wells, réalisé par George Pal.
It took the creative magic of George Pal and the fabulous production know-how of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer to catapult you through time into a world that is yet to be. Inventor Rod Taylor's breakthrough into the realm of the fourth dimension is defied by his friend Alan Young.
If that machine can do what you say it can, destroy it, George, before it destroys you.
Hurtling through the atomic wars of the future on an incredible excursion into the unknown.
How do they wear their hair?
Who?
The women of your time.
Up like that?
Show me.
L'histoire originale avait un fond sociopolitique. L'esclavagisme entretenu par l'aristocratie terrienne.
The Morlocks, fiendish creatures who live in a weird underground world. And the Eloi, the tranquil sunshine people, who the Morlocks dominate and maintain like cattle to feed upon in cannibalistic horror.
In time after time, H.G. Wells himself traveled from his Victorian London in a time machine of his own design. But his mission was not just a scientific exploration. Someone else had stolen his time machine to flee justice, Jack the Ripper.
Gentlemen, I have called you together tonight to bid you farewell. I am talking about traveling through time in a machine constructed for that very purpose.
And what was to be a voyage of discovery, in an instant, becomes a manhunt through time.
My name is H.G. Wells. I came here in a time machine of my own construction. I'm pursuing Jack the Ripper, who escaped into the future in my machine.
Time after time, a romantic adventure and a relentless chase around the world and across the dimension of time.
Science and logic tell us that time travel is impossible. Einstein's special theory of relativity states, among other things, to those aboard a spaceship flying at the speed of light, an hour might pass in the same time that decades roll by back on Earth.
A crack Air Force test pilot flies the world's newest experimental plane faster than sound, faster than time itself, beyond the time barrier.
Des films tels que celui-ci n'ont pas disposé d'un gros budget, mais ils offraient néanmoins tout ce que les fans du genre demandaient.
64 years into the terrifying future, a beautiful girl and love. The last survivors of the human race are doomed to murder in a killer orgy by vicious subhuman mutants.
American International Pictures continue dans cette veine qui met les terriens en garde contre leur propre autodestruction.
Wait a minute, look!
On n'en est pas encore là.
The Time Travelers. In the year 2071, scientific superbrains manufacture almost human robots, armies of androids that fight off the feared mutants.
We are the last normal human beings on Earth. There's a creeping death all around us, and we cannot stay.
Where can you go?
To another planetary system.
Ce bruit étrange, c'est H.G. Wells qui se retourne dans sa tombe. Son roman When the Sleeper Awakes a longtemps intéressé American International Pictures, qui voulait l'adapter avec Vincent Price.
This is my world. I am their king.
C'est l'histoire d'un homme qui se réveille au bout de plusieurs siècles dans un futur où règne le totalitarisme, la révolution et les prodiges scientifiques. Malheureusement, le projet n'a jamais vu le jour. Mais Woody Allen en a repris le concept dans Woody et les robots.
I'm a clarinet player in 1973. I go into the hospital for a lousy operation. I wake up 200 years later and I'm Flash Gordon.
It's hard to believe that you haven't had sex for 200 years.
204 if you count my marriage.
Will there be a special price for children?
No, but anyone accompanied by an incoherent person gets in for half price.
Beyond the time machine, there is Buster Crabbe as Buck Rogers. Thrill as Buck and his sidekick Buddy are discovered after 500 years of suspended animation.
Who is this man called Killer Kane? He is the result of the stupidity of the men of your century.
Is it true that you are revolutionaries?
In a sense, I suppose we are. If it's revolutionary to protest against brutality.
I have had enough. Shudder at the frightening vision of a futuristic metropolis.
Well, the strongest women in films really were in the 30s and 40s. Cliffhangers. Women really had comparable roles and positions in films in the classic films back in the 30s and 40s.
Never before such feats.
Gosh, that's swell.
Le problème majeur pour voyager à la vitesse de la lumière est d'ordre pratique. Pour atteindre ne serait-ce qu'un dixième de cette vitesse, un homme aurait besoin d'une énergie supérieure à la totalité de celle que l'humanité a utilisée jusqu'ici. Imaginez la note d'électricité.
Can't help thinking that somewhere in the universe there has to be something better than man. Has to be.
La planète des singes est un cocktail d'aventure, d'humour et de suspense. Charlton Heston interprète le seul survivant d'une expédition spatiale dans un monde qui est devenu fou.
You did it. You cut up his brain, you bloody baboon! A planet where apes evolved from men? There's got to be an answer. Don't look for it, Taylor. You may not like what you find. Damn you all to hell!
Charlton Heston apparaît brièvement dans le deuxième film de la série, qui contient des éléments de satire grinçante et d'extrême violence. La série a remporté un tel succès qu'elle a engendré au total 4 épisodes, une série télévisée dérivée et, plus récemment, une nouvelle version du roman original de Pierre Boulle.
I have come unstuck in time.
Le voyage dans le temps est psychologique et non mécanique dans cette variation de Kurt Vonnegut sur un thème récurrent.
Billy, sweetheart, the war is over.
Unstuck in time.
The plane's gonna crash.
Unstuck in time. Unstuck in time. Unstuck in time.
This is Schlachthof 5. Schlachthof 5. Slaughterhouse 5.
Billy, you time tripping again? I can always tell you now.
Stop! Stop!
Unstuck in time.
How far are you going?
About 30 years.
You've got to come back with me.
Where?
Back to the future.
Ces effets spéciaux remarquables n'ont pas empêché certains de faire des films avec des budgets beaucoup plus faibles.
10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, 0, transmit.
Our presence may be changing the course of evolution.
A 50-million-year-old artifact that didn't exist until they went back. It's an alternative reality without humans.
Would travel into the future or back to the distant past be terrifying, amazing, or both?
In less than an hour, a select group of experts will be beamed across time and space.
How far are you going?
Today, medical science can prolong life far past the biblical 70 years, but at what cost to the mind?
Les savants fous sont légion au cinéma. Les séries B que Boris Karloff a tournées pour la Columbia ont souvent servi d'exemple. Celui qui avait tué la mort repose sur l'idée d'un cœur mécanique qui sera en fait inventé dans les années 80. The Man with 9 Lives suggère qu'on peut arrêter la maladie par la congélation, la cryoconservation. Et dans The Devil Commands, Boris Karloff utilise des ondes radio pour communiquer avec les morts. On n'en est pas encore là.
Every time Helen has tried to speak to me since she died, Anne has been somewhere near. Anne is the key.
H.G. Wells s'est penché sur la génétique de façon tout à fait prophétique dans son roman « L'île du docteur Moreau ». Un scientifique qui transforme des animaux en quasi-humains par vivisection. Par correction génique, au sens le plus littéral du terme.
You're convinced that the thing on this table isn't human?
Its cries are human.
Do you know what it is, what I began with?
No.
An animal.
Un petit groupe d'individus très différents, un lieu isolé et une menace mystérieuse tapie dans l'ombre.
Camera B, 29 milli, take 1.
People that you witnessed before, living under my care and protection, are animals that have been fused with human genes in the course of a series of scientific studies designed by myself.
Wow.
In a remote laboratory, an exiled scientist created something impossible on the island of Dr. Moreau.
I'd like to present my children.
Father?
L'interprétation de Marlon Brando dans la dernière version de l'île du Docteur Moreau est presque aussi grotesque que les monstres qu'il crée.
It was all kind of fun and great challenge, thinking of the range of possibilities that Mr. Brando would bring to the character of Dr. Moreau and what his intellect would bring to bear on the subject. Really compelling ideas. Just the subject of genetics and DNA.
En revanche, la première version sortie en 1932 fonctionne toujours aussi bien.
Well, we may as well discuss this frankly, now that you know the facts. I wanted to prove how completely she was a woman.
Get everything ready.
For what?
This time I'll burn out all the animal in her. I'll make her completely human.
La population mutante est réduite à un seul individu dans un film de 1958, Terror is a Man. Francis Lederer y joue le rôle du savant fou.
Is a man. Is he, Charles?
Yes, he is. You call that thing a man? I shall succeed in creating a higher, a perfect man.
An actor gets a job here or there. If he takes it, he likes it, and then he does it.
Good morning. We haven't met, officially that is. I'm Dr. Moreau.
Burt Lancaster a succédé à Charles Laughton et Francis Lederer en 1977.
What happened to Mr. Braddock?
Well, those creatures, what are they?
You go back to the compound, that way.
That's a cut. Print and a
The
print.
story, written in 1896 by H.G. Wells, is a presagement on the part of Wells as to what the future could possibly entertain in terms of what science may go after. In this particular case, the story specifically deals with a character who is attempting to invade what we now know as the DNA, the molecular structure, the genetic structure.
This is human. This is man.
Understandably, they fear this place. The pain they've suffered.
Le maquillage est beaucoup plus élaboré, mais l'atmosphère est moins oppressante dans le cadre somptueux des îles Vierges où a été tourné le film.
You are an animal.
Bela Lugosi maîtrise la technique en 1953. Il y a toujours un moment où le savant génial mais fou expose ses théories. Mais ces explications reposent souvent sur une logique séduisante qui existe rarement dans la nature.
Oh, I'm performing a series of experiments in evolution.
Evolution? What's evolution?
Scientists have proven that all living things originated in a process of evolution. They also know that there is a growth force that tends to make genetic changes physiologically and morphologically. Darwin, in his provisional hypothesis of pangenesis, assumes that every living cell contains a gemule, which is a hypothetical granula. But nature takes years. I can, in a matter of hours, make a complete embryonic metamorphosis.
Voilà qui explique tout.
Well,
Sure.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it! Stop it!
I'm Vincent Price. What unearthly horror did that girl gaze upon?
Isn't like any other fly I've ever seen. no mistresses. I had no lovers.
Why did you kill him?
God, don't let it get out.
Inspector, it's in the garden. Come quickly.
It was fun to do because Bart Marshall, Herbert Marshall, and the two of us really were hysterical, you know, at the thought of having to play a scene in front of this little tableau that was going on. Oh, it was impossible to shoot, you know. I mean, here's this idiot thing saying, help me, and this spider would jumpity jump, and then people would still come up and say, help me.
As God is my witness, I saw the thing. It's unbelievable. I shall never forget that scream as long as I live. Watch out for it.
The forbidden science of transmigration. Weird experiments spawned the twisted monstrosities of a living hell.
It was ridiculous to shoot it in black and white. I love black and white, but I mean, you do two pictures in black and white, not one in color and the other in black and white.
Suppose he does come here. What if Philippe does not have the mind of a human, but the murderous brain of the fly?
Les films de David Cronenberg explorent les conséquences possibles de changements chimiques et biologiques.
I think you're making a mistake. I think you really want to talk to me.
Sorry, I have 3 other interviews to do before this party's over.
Yeah, but they're not working on something that'll change the world as we know it.
They say they are.
Yeah, but they're lying.
David Cronenberg atteint les sommets du grotesque dans La Mouche, où la monstruosité tourne à l'exercice de style.
Something went wrong, Seth. When you went through, something went wrong. Those weird hairs that were growing out of your back, I had them analyzed. But they were definitely not human.
Jeff Goldblum wrote me a letter when his version of The Fly came out and said, I hope you like it as much as I liked yours. And I went to see it, of course, his version. I think it was wonderful right up to a certain point.
Everything about you is changing.
Oh, no. What's happening to me? Am I dying?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Help me. Please, help me.
L'étrange cas du docteur Jekyll et de Mr. Hyde, le roman classique de Robert Louis Stevenson, est un mystère magnifiquement construit. Ces adaptations successives au cinéma ont drainé certains des acteurs les plus brillants de leur époque. John Barrymore, Frederick March, Spencer Tracy, Kirk Douglas et Christopher Lee. Les variations autour de ce thème du dédoublement de personnalité sont apparues avec une régularité alarmante. Universal a voulu tenter sa chance et pour limiter les risques financiers a choisi le spécialiste des films d'horreur, Boris Karloff, pour incarner le bon docteur.
Mr. Hyde will kill him. Mr. Hyde will kill him.
C'est un cascadeur du nom d'Eddie Parker qui a eu le privilège d'interpréter l'horrible Mr. Hyde.
You might be ready, Julius, but if I were you, I'd think about it.
Jerry Lewis a poussé encore plus loin la logique de Jekyll contre Hyde en interprétant lui-même les deux rôles. Dans ce film, Jerry Lewis joue le rôle du monstre sans aucun maquillage. Le remake tourné récemment, Dr. Dolittle a bénéficié de plus gros moyens et d'effets spéciaux sophistiqués.
I was in familiar territory because I was doing comedy, you know, and I was doing stuff, you know, the closest that I've done to Saturday Night Live.
Now that is very nasty.
What I meant to see was that I think it's a combination of the makeup that Rick made and the fact that I have a background in doing impressions.
Oh, Miss Purdy, are you and Sherman having relations?
That's a good question. No, Grandma, it's not like that. We're colleagues. We just work together.
Cut.
David Cronenberg a repris ce thème du savant fou à la fin des années 80. Faux semblant a de quoi horrifier les plus insensibles. Il présente des médecins drogués qui sont aussi des jumeaux en mal d'identité.
You haven't had any experience until I've had it too.
Et des femmes à la merci de gynécologues sadiques.
radical technology was required.
Something radical is definitely required.
There are dark places in the human soul as forbidding as any alien planet.
Has it ever occurred to you you might have totally lost your mind?
Doctor, I think there's something wrong with you.
What is humanity? Is it our body, our mind, our conscious knowledge of existence?